All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Clannad After Story, Episode 6.
Mm.
The Messiah arc.
Yeah,
Got backstory, cats, friends that are not here anymore and maybe have complicated or suspicious or potentially supernatural connections and pasts and such.
Yeah, and we're going to follow up with that in this kind of potentially tragic, not romance.
Yeah, exactly, because they definitely aren't around in the present day, but the cat is, and Messiah has a bit of a lesson to be gathered here for our main two characters.
Yeah, something that she can pass along, given that she has the experience of going through high school and all that entails. Yep. But what was the lesson? Because maybe it's not so straightforward.
Indeed.
Maybe there's some things extra to it, but we'll have to see. So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this.
相良さんじゃなくてミサエさん何よ恋は遠い日の花火のようなものだねパーッと砕け散った方が綺麗だってことだよ己は喧嘩
Hey, she went right back to
じゃあトイレで紙がない時にでも気を使ってんのか使ってないのかどっちだ変なことばっかり言ってどうして謝るのきっと僕にも悪いところがあったって思うからかな何言ってるのよあんたに悪いところなんてでもね私が今落ち込んでるのは別のことあんたのせいじゃないわそうよねあんたは私に恩返しに来ただけで別に私が好きとかそういうことじゃないんだもんね
That's a bit...
そんなことないよえ
the bench.
あのさ、どこがいいの私の叱ってくれるところとか心配してくれるところとかあとプロレス技かけられる時もミサエさんのいい匂いがして好きでした最後はいらないと思う
She said feel bad.
そう、こう見えても私学校史上初の女子の生徒会長なのよすごいんだねミサエさんもし予定なかったらさ
I mean, this seems
私と
good.
一緒に
Yeah.
行かない秋祭りねえ絶対バレるよこんなの大丈夫似合ってるからミサエさん忙しいんだ
Wait!
そう生徒会の会議だって遅くなること君に伝えてくれって
Has to infiltrate the school somehow.
ミサエさんが仕事してるところを見てみたいな
Ah! Ah!
いや
可愛すぎて腹立ってきたんだけどギターを持ち込んで騒いでる生徒の件歌うのは別に構わないけどかっこいい
That student.
Exactly.
よ
Oh, nice! Nice!
Yeah.
Oh!
別に立ち入り禁止じゃないんだからでもだから相良さん伊吹先生お話中ごめんなさいこの子が用事があるみたいなのどうしたのあすっごい可愛い子こんな子うちの学校にいたんだこれからもずっと一緒にいてもらえると嬉しいですどういったご関係で最高に面白かったわよ笑い事じゃないよ
Ah!
僕だってバレちゃったかな
Maybe. Maybe. We'll see.
かえってその格好の方がミサイに好かれるんじゃないねえ島くんこれから予定あるさっき2人で話してたんだ今日は君ん家に遊びに行こうかってそっかミサイってまだ君ん家に行ったことないんだ彼女より先に自宅に上がり込んじゃう優越感ねえ後でミサイに自慢してやろうよどうしたのやっぱり気が進まない
Those flowers, too.
そうじゃなくて家がどこだったか思い出せないなんだちゃんとあるじゃない変な冗談言わないでよもう
Yeah. I can kind of see what's going on here.
どうしたのただいまって言いなさいよ
勝樹のお友達ですか？
はい。
それはわざわざすみません。どうぞ上がって勝樹にお線香をあげてやってください。
Yeah.
そうだ。
It's exactly.
The bad thing has already
Exactly.
happened.
勝樹はもういないんだ。
Yeah.
僕は本当は島勝樹
It's
じゃなく
exactly
て。
like Foucault.
ねえ、どういうことなの？何か事情があるのね。私たちにできることある？ねえ、これだけは覚えてて。私たち、君のことを信じてる。私たちにとって君は島くんだから。
ありがとう。
ミサイにはこのこと黙っておくから。
Not even the focus
話さな
characters
く
of
ちゃ
the
いけ
art.
ないことがあるなら
That'd
自
be
分で言ってあ
awesome.
げてね。
All this
やっと
time.
思い出した。僕は島勝樹じゃなかった。それは僕にとって一番大切な人の名前だった。僕たちは長い長い時間を一緒に過ごして、
Yeah, he is the cat all
そして
along. Yeah.
その人は僕に最後の願いを託した。僕はその願いを叶える
I
た
mean,
め
they have
に
nine lives after all.
やってきたんだ。
You know?
やっと来た。
Couldn't use it
ごめ
on
ん、
himself because.
遅くなって。
まあいいわ。いつもは私があんたを待たせてるんだからね。
Oh.
So,
Well, now I know
there's
how this
something I'd
doesn't
like to
work
talk
out.
to you about.
Yeah.
あんただったんでしょ？
や
Yeah.
っぱり分かった。
They're walking along and he
わかるわよ。
catches a kid that was
毎日
following
顔を
him
合わせてるんだもん。
disappears.
Bongo family. Oh,
Oh, that was great.
oh, that's so good.
ほら、この中に願いを叶える光が。あれ？
最初から何も入ってなかったんじゃないの？
Made when he said, "I want to be with you forever."
思いついた。
Maybe.
Yeah.
それじゃあ、島くんが待ちに待ってた願い事言うね。ずっと
She's gonna say it as well.
いつまでも
Yep. Yeah.
私のことを好きでいてください。
Yeah.
ごめん。
And of course,
びっくりした。
he's gonna.
やっぱり僕はこの人が好きでした。
So now, how do
短
I
い
tell
間だ
her?
ったけれど、一緒に過ごした時間はかけがえのないものでした。
昨日あんたが言ってくれたことの真似。
Yeah,
She
we
did
know. We know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
もうどうして泣くのよ。
Shadows are getting real long.
本当に放っておけない子よね。
ミサエさん、本当にありがとう。
私何か飲み物買ってくる
And
わ。
he's gone.
ここで待ってて。
He's gone.
島くん。島くん。何？なんて言ったの？島くん。
Oh.
さよなら、ミサエさん。僕はあなたを一生好きでい続けます。ずっと、いつまでも。
うん。帰ってきちゃった。そう、男子寮。あんた、とうとうここに居ついちゃったわね。
Even looks like his
そんなに
hairstyle.
私のそば
Kinda,
がいいの？
yeah.
私、別に猫好きじゃないのよ。バカみたい。何おとぎ話みたいなこと考えてるの
Oh.
変な猫ね、あんた。
Sai was
随分
giving us
気持ち
really
よさ
good
そうに
wisdom
寝てたわ
there.
ね。
Yeah.
まるでうちの猫みたいだったわ。もう遅いです。おいとましましょう。
ああ、お前が見せたい。
Clannad OST
お
really
前、
hits hard.
ちゃんと名前があったんじゃないか。あ
Wow.
の人に伝えてほしいことがあるんだな。
昨べからずっと考え事してます。
Oh, she can
ミ
tell.
サイさんにどう話したらいいかって思ってさ。
よかった、捕まえてくれて。
Oh.
切れた。
She chased out
そう
after
いう言い
him.
方
Yep.
やめてくれないか。
ミサイさん、猫さんと一緒にお
祭り
祭り
に来たん
ですか？
He
違う
ran
の
out.
よ
Yep.
そいつが急に外に飛び出して
Still chasing after him all this time.
Uh-huh.
Still.
もう
きっとずっと前から
帰るわよ
ミサエさんと一緒にこの祭りに来たかったんだよ。
Ah.
ゆうべ夢の中でそいつの声を聞いたような気がしたんだ。お祭りの時最後まで一緒にいられなくてごめん。
他には何も言ってなかった。
あとは願いの通りにずっとそばにいるからって。ミサエさん、もう一つあるんだ。そいつミサエさんが幸せになることを望んでるんだよ。だってそういうやつだろそいつって。
She'll shit by now.
私ももう一花咲かせてみようかな。
ああ
I don't understand.
ご主人様、ご主人様、今のご主人様はあなたとは違う人だけどとても優しい人です。けどたまに不安になります。あなたとの約束を果たせたのでしょうか。
Ah.
今はもう遠すぎて思い出せません。それを許してください。
Mm.
ずっとこの人のそばに居続けること。
Oh. That was really cute.
Yep.
That's really cute.
This little 2-episode arc.
Ah.
All right.
And emotionally just
Yep. Just strong,
charged episode.
compact, just little 2-episode arc. Boom, boom, bam, pow. Does its thing.
The setup
go.
for when we had the reveal that Shima was already dead and that this was at the very least a ghost
Right.
was very, very well handled, and it was also quite efficient and fast.
Yep.
I want to say, like, the way in which they went, oh, we're going to go over to your place. Immediately, I was like, well, he doesn't have a
All right.
place.
Yep. Here we go.
I'm like, yep.
Right.
Because he has a wish. He's not he's not here for he's here for a good time, but not for a long time, if you know what I'm saying.
We've seen enough supernatural shenanigans in this show so far to know where this is going.
Yeah, but I loved the fact that it wasn't that he ends up getting like
Doesn't die
casts his
tragically or
soul
something,
into
or-
a cat or something. It's that he was always the cat, and it's that the visage that he took was one of his previous owner.
Yep.
So that he could pass along that wish
Right.
for Misai to find happiness. And what's beautiful about that is that the wish was there not because the cat ended up falling in love as like an extension of the love of the boy, Shima, back then. It's the idea that what Misai did back then left a resounding just impact on Shima to the point where when he passed away, his wish was that that girl would find the same peace, that someone would probably come to her in the same way and end up enriching her life.
Yep.
And thus his wish or his will carried forth beyond death and led forward to this interaction with the cat.
Right.
And that's really sweet. It's a really clever twist on the, well, we have ourselves a cat girl.
Right.
The cat mom, if you will.
Yep.
And it's like, all right, let's unpack that a little bit. Well, there's a supernatural twist. Oh, even more, she had a lost love. Oh, but it wasn't just a lost love. It was a lost love that was born out of this little serendipitous encounter. This is beautiful.
The star-crossed lovers kind of a thing where it's like it's impossible for them to be together, but they do love each other.
And they get a happy ending.
And they do get a happy ending. It's
kind
not...
of, yeah.
Right, exactly. It's not... It is not the... The picturesque, like idyllic, everything is just fine. It's the Dongo family amidst the turmoil, right?
Yeah.
Like amidst the bumps and bruises and hiccups of life and all the complications. Hey, she was able to find her happiness.
I think also this episode did a lot for Misai's character in that the previous episode still needed Like, the previous episode didn't do enough for her character to just have this all be catharsis, sadness, and then
It still needed to have some
just
build up in this episode.
the resolution back to the present. Yeah, what we needed to have was the moment where she's at the bench, she's feeling down.
Yep.
He comes over there, he does what he can to kind of pick up her mood, but he ends up kind of being a punching bag for a lot of her emotions as she's, not doing so hot. But at the end of it, she kind of almost forces a confession out of him by her almost a bit uncalled for thing of, it's not like you love me, actually, you're just doing a favor for me. And I was like, oh, that's so
right.
He's able to weather that. Okay, cool.
Awesome.
That's not true. He did get frustrated a little bit. He blurted it out.
Right, because it's the false dichotomy of, well, either you're thinking that this would be your chance to get me to fall for you. Oh, it's not that. That would have been kind of an insensitive thing to do. Oh, well, then you must not love me.
It's like, wow, what?
It's like, oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, like in some ways, if he was not so smitten with her, I could very easily see that as being a thing of like, bye,
Right.
But like, oh my God, the fact that happened, and then she's like, oh. I think it's because he was so empathic and realized how much, in some ways, well, I don't want to make a hard comparison here, but this was kind of her similar moment, if you will, to what the cat's master, Shima, was at.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say that she's sitting down with her legs cut out from under her or her wings clipped, if you will.
She's in danger of dying or anything the way the master did or anything like that.
No, it's just this is her lowest point that she's been at in the backstory, which is the most similar we'll ever get to the kid who's dying and is in a wheelchair. But I really liked that in that moment he pressed to make sure that she had, at the very least, a positive exchange with him. And thus, their love blossomed from that moment.
Right.
And she fell for him. And it's a lot for Misai's character. It's really cool.
It was absolutely beautiful, and I love how I feel like less on the nose and like specifically, but maybe thematically, the idea of Misai being so violent. It's like, it's a, anime trope of the anime girl does the violent thing and all that stuff. And sometimes it's just done for comedy. Sometimes it's done for comedy and kind of to showcase that maybe they have some emotional turmoil, things that aren't fully resolved and, or whatever.
Yeah.
But I feel like in this situation, it's something where, that's present in the like beginning of the episode and then it disappears towards the end of the episode. Now, she still is like that in the present, so it's not like it was a permanent change in the kind of person that she was or whatever. But from the standpoint of this story that's being told of this past, and all of that.
Yeah, well, the way she interacted with Shima changed after that point. And
exactly.
She was never aggressive or violent towards him.
Right. It's put aside, right? It's let go of. And I feel like I'm both not fully equipped to really explore with any sense of like certainty or confidence what that means, and also it's a short arc, so I feel like it's definitely intended to be impressionistic and not necessarily like you need to draw
explained in every way
and have specific conclusions drawn from it. But I feel like it's something that is narratively very rich, and it's just sort of there as something to add to the overall piece that we get. And then, it's done. And now we're on to whatever's next.
Yeah. The way in which we kind of had Fuko 2.0 was cool. Now, the thing that's just way better, in my opinion, than this is just that there's no
amnesia.
Actual amnesia bullshit, yes. But also, there's no way the cat is going to show up in any way beyond just being there.
Right.
He's not going to suddenly learn how to speak.
The resolution is final. Yeah. The most that we could get is the Okazaki getting a dream where he can relay that last message of,
Well, yeah. Can we actually go into that a little bit? Because I've been wondering how with them very clearly having a semi-impressionistic, potentially supernatural thing that's just been there in the background all this time of this space where the robot and the girl have been, at the very least, just kind of there for each other. It feels very much that they're just keeping that there because it's focused primarily on Tomoya and Nagisa.
Sure.
It's something that is a parallel to them, and the more and more we go without explaining it, the more likely I think that not only it is about them, but also there could potentially actually be a harder explanation to it that is involved with the world building or the supernatural elements in this show.
Well, and if you look at the supernatural elements that have been introduced thus far, with the exception of maybe Fuko, a lot of it feels reminiscent of that place.
It does.
So we had a concrete thing of there's a glowing light that will grant a wish. Okay. When Nagisa talked about, I think it was the story, so I don't know if it's necessarily that other world, but she talked about it as like, let me take you to a place where dreams come true. There's a bunch of lights or potential wishes floating around up there. When certain arcs with characters, especially if there's a supernatural element, were resolved, we would see little lights that would appear, right? So it's like, oh, okay. You know.
Yeah, there very much seems to be this slight spider webbing that's happening that it makes it less of a this is a little coincidence or convenience to be a pattern,
right?
And that's the thing, and that
intentional rather than like arbitrary.
Right. One of the things that's really frustrating about softer magical world building is that you don't know when pretty lights are just pretty lights, or Fuko showing up randomly to give a comedic bit is part of the world building, or if it's just a comedic bit.
Right.
And sometimes it's very obvious, and other times you're like, I don't care that it's kind of obvious. It's kind of smacking in the face of the world building when you want me to take the other stuff seriously.
And it's something where...
So this feels like, in some ways, because the arc is contained, that the world building is important, because otherwise... Why double down on something that's kind of already been done with Fuko? It's, in my mind, a form of a reminder to the audience that this is adjacent to the Fuko world building, and thus we're moving in a direction. Fuko's here, this is here, Ichinose somewhere over here.
Right, with
a couple of the other
even
things
that was
the
here. There's another world that exists.
Oh yeah,
right. You know,
so
it's
Ichinose's is this is a whole other ball game here.
It's the strongest example of like there's implications for the supernatural stuff potentially. But like
right. But what I've been thinking about is, because I have like three things that are like established beliefs based on hintings of the OP, the little kind of
first and second OP
elements. Both OPs, really.
Okay, sure.
More so for the second OP. Things like Nagisa is probably going to die by the end of this story. Nagisa and Tomoya are probably going to have a kid together. Okay. The story is probably going to get to that point. There's a girl that's been in both OPs that very much seems to be a child, like a little child. And also that space, that those two characters
the
are
robot
in,
and the girl,
is very much some kind of supernatural tie or tether between Tomoya and Nagisa.
Right.
And thus all these things are going to come together as we move closer and closer to the end of the story. So
if those are going to come closer and closer together, like the stuff that's being set up very much seems to be the kind of thing that's done as sort of like a foreshadowing through showing something that's like parallel but not exactly the same.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And then and the reason why you need foreshadowing for something like that is so that if something happens that is plot relevant in a softer, looser rules kind of magic system, that it feels satisfying.
Because you can refer back to this, which is slightly harder.
Because you want it to feel satisfying in the moment, not satisfying just in the retrospective, this changes the way the rules work so that this kind of thing can happen. You want it to be built up to, right?
Right.
So if we have stuff like this, then it's like, okay, maybe then that's showing that the stuff with the girl and the robot is going to become a bit more relevant, or like have a harder tie-in some way.
Exactly.
You know, and then it's just what is that and how will it happen, and
Yeah, and now that the stuff with Shima was gotten into in a much kind of harder, detailed way, we know exactly what went down and to why this little mini arc happened. We can then see why Misai, and by extension the cat, kind of ended up giving a almost a boon of sorts by their presence in the Nagisa Tomoya relationship.
Gotcha.
And how they can then in some ways be assured that, one, what they have is love, and two, that even if Nagisa does end up passing away, be it in like a year or 20, doesn't matter. Their love will go beyond even death. It will go beyond any boundary or anything like that. And
I like it.
That's just something that's beautiful. I think that when stories go into love and there's a supernatural element, lean hard into the idea of love's infiniteness going beyond the bounds of your magical setting or what have you, your magical rules or something. It's a really beautiful human thing.
Right. Love is magical enough on its own that if you then add it into a magical setting, it only makes sense for it to be something that
breaks the rules.
Breaks the rules in a way, kind of
or informs
dominates the magic of the world, right? Like it's informs the rules, right? Like it's pervasive. It's not some small tacked on, added on thing. Yeah.
Like Foucault's was friendship, and this here was basically a young romance, but they both were capstoned by dreams.
Ooh, that's fun.
And wishes, basically. The idea that Foucault's was wanting to help her, was her sister?
Yes.
Yeah. Have a lot of people show up to the wedding.
Talking about dreams and stuff, now I'm just imagining Tomoya and Nagisa being like, yes, this bonfire of dreams,
Tsunohara's like, I sacrifice.
No, it's Tomoyo. She's like, in order to be the best student council president, she's got the white hair and everything.
No, he's literally the blonde friend that's been scorned in the love triangle.
Yeah.
It like Tsunohara is 100% good in this instance here. Yeah.
Oh man.
But I mean, all in all, I'm excited to get back to the main cast. I understand that in order to have this cathartic episode, we needed to have some setup.
Yep.
But I'm glad that we had it all in all. It was very, very, very satisfying. But okay. All right, Misai. I'm happy for you.
Yep.
And I hope that you find your own happiness. And hey, if that means that you bring that cat into your next relationship and you're like, hey, you're getting 2 pussies for the price of 1 in this relationship. Like, I'm just letting you know, that's just the way it is. And then it'll be that moment where the cat will be like, and then like I sign off on this. You guys can go make out. I'm gonna walk over into the other room and just stand outside. Then Misai goes
and does like wrestling grapple takedown onto the bed or something.
And then the cat holds up a 10,
Oh boy.
But y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
next time.